sing a little pray for you and me. Yeah. What's up, guys? We get Supergirl Season 1, Episode 14, Truth, Justice, and the American Way. This episode starts off at Kara's apartment, where she and Alex are just talking. She's talking about how she missed Astra. If Hank hadn't have quote unquote killed her, because she still doesn't know that Alex did, she wouldn't have, if Hank hadn't have killed Astra, she would have been able to bring Astra back to the light side. And she's like, Kara, I have something to tell you, but then Non interrupts them, saying, hey, Kara, I want you to help me create a proper funeral for Astra. So Kara goes up, is in a Supergirl suit, and she starts saying about how the lights will guide Astra's way until the lights of Rao, and then at the dawn of Rao, and then until they can properly meet her in the sky. And then he's like, hey, Kara, from his concern, I will lead the mourning period, but Astra won't be the only one in a coffin. So he's like, hey, are you really sure? Are you really sure about you? And she's like, Maxwell, well, and she's like, hey, Supergirl, Maxwell Lord wants you. And she's like, hey, I gave you your Netflix. Which is also what I watch this show on. So it's on Netflix. So yeah. So he's like, hey, I saved your life. Without him, she'd be dead. And she's like, without him, the world's a better place. So yeah. So Kara goes to work, where she meets a new assistant named Siobhan Smythe, who Kat has basically tells Kara that she's assistant number 2, and Siobhan's assistant number 1. But I think Kara should be number 1, and Siobhan should be number 2, since Kara was there first. But and she's like, hey, Kara, I know that you've been busy, so I hired a second assistant. You'll cover the phone, and Siobhan, you're with her. So come with Kat. And I'm just like, why call her number 1? So yeah. So then when it's like, it's like, hey, are you not? You're jealous, and you're mad, and she's like, no, I'm not. And she's like, you just smashed your phone, and she's like, I will see the good in her. He's like, that's a Supergirl thing. Kara Danvers deserves to be a bit jealous. So yeah, so Jean and Alex are investigating an alien who escaped from Fort Ross, and when they go to detain him, a person in an armor decides to steal the alien before they can get it, and he starts saying about how he's like, hey, what are you doing? And he's like, show people your human form. You've been in human skin for too long. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, but that was on Krypton. And he's like, this isn't Krypton, and kills the guy executing him. So yeah. So this guy's an executor. He's playing judge, jury, and executioner. So yeah, so Alex and John decide to again pull out their DEO FBI badges and decide to talk to this cop and his friend, but the cop's an they try to play it off that he's anti-alien. So he's like, hey, we've seen this guy before. He's been, we've seen this guy before, and looks up a lot of other alien murders. So yeah, but the other guy said before dying, the other guy said he knew who the jail master was. So yeah, but we don't. So yeah, so back with Kara. Kara goes to talk with James and yeah, so Kara is hearing so Kat is like wants to say where's Maxwell Lord? Like maybe he got kidnapped. Maybe he's on a date. Or maybe he's have against the world across the globe. So she's like, I go to the third option. He's been kidnapped. So yeah, so Siobhan's like, so actually James is like, Carl, I want to talk to you, and she's like, what? And she's like, kidnapping Maxwell Lord? That's not a good idea. And she's like, what? He's trying to kill her so many times, and she's like, yeah, but you gotta give it, but you should have given him to the cops. And she's like, or given him to the actual justice system. And she's like, the justice system, the lawyers would have had him pulled out in 2 minutes. I am in 2 minutes. So yeah, so as they're talking, Siobhan decides to slide by and sees Kara like Kara and James talking, and that makes her think that Kara and James are an item, and Kara's like, no, they're not. And as they're texting, she's like, you must be obsessed with him. And she's like, and she yells, I'm not obsessed with anyone. And she's like, Kara, keep your voice down. Siobhan has not made a peep, and that's why she's the best assistant. Assistant number 1 has not made a peep at all. Has not talked at all. So yeah, so she's like, come to the DEO now. And she's like, I'm kind of dealing with something. So yeah, so Kara gets mad saying, why didn't you, if there's an alien missing, why didn't you call them? Why didn't you call her? And he's like, I thought you'd be busy. And she's like, when you need time off, you'll know, but call her at any point. Call her at any time. Because obviously she's still mad at John for thinking that he killed Astra. Why did Kara call him Hank in the beginning scene if it was just him and Alex? Didn't make any sense. Like, I get if she does it in front of the DEO agents, but if it's just Alex, call him Sean. In the opening scene, she calls him Hank, but it doesn't make any sense when everyone else calls him Jean-Claude Hank. So yeah. So anyway, So Lucy approaches John, tries to get. It's like James, and she's like, hey, I think Max was kidnapped by an organization, and he's like, why would the DEO have him? And she's like, the DEO? I didn't say anything about the DEO. And he's like, you know about the DEO? And he's like, yeah, you did. You just said. And she's like, no, I didn't. You must be. And he's like, oh, Supergirl told you. He's like, are you involved with him? Are you involved with her? Are you close with him? Close with her as you were? Are you close to Supergirl as you were with Superman? And she's like, closer. And then she's like, fool me once. And he's like, Lucy. So Lucy's probably not mad at him. So yeah, so James is just sitting out, and then when Kat comes and she talks about how back in the day she had like this report where she wanted to talk like this movie star. His wife said it was great. Everyone says it was great, but the wife's makeup artist said that he kept abusing her. but she caved and couldn't write the story. And 3 months later, that guy shot his wife in the head. And he's like, hey, if you would have written that story, could you have saved that woman's life? And she's like, she thinks about that every single day. Wow, this show just got dark. This show just got dark. So yeah, so they think that the other cop is the master jailer, but then it's revealed that the master jailer is really the the, the cop's partner, and he kills the other cop and kidnaps Kara. You know, the white guy. He's the real master jailer, and he kidnaps Kara along. Yeah, but Kara, so Kara, he kidnapped Kara so Kara first comes in. He shows up, and she's like, I thought that masks were bigger in that other city. Is she referencing Arrow? As we learn later, actually I'll mention that later, but is there another city in National City that has masks? Or is she mentioning Star City or Central City? Yeah, but she saves the guy, but then she gets captured, and that guy reveals that he's from a planet that Kara visited when she was a child with her dad, but his wife got ill, and just like Walter White, definitely like Walter White, but same like Walter White, he went into the drug smuggling game to save his wife. But on his first run, he was captured and sent to 18 years to Fort Ross by Laura Zorel. But she's like, did you hate her mom like the others? And he's like, at first, but he came to realize why he was sent there. And then when he crash landed on Earth, he decided to become a good person and become a professor and teach people about the stars. But then as the professor's about to be killed, they stop him, save Kara, and I think put him in jail. Yeah, but they release Max. James is like, hey Kara, this isn't you. What you're doing isn't. You're always supposed to. And she's like, and you're supposed to fight for truth, justice, and the American way. But this isn't you. This isn't the supergirl that he knows. And she's kidnapping people. And she's like, who told you that? Lucy? And he's like, no, Siobhan published the story. And she's like, and then she meets up with Siobhan. And Siobhan's like, hey. And she's like, hey, I can't stand you. And she's like, yeah, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to become the next Cat Grant. And I'm here to become a junior reporter. And she's here to become a junior reporter. And she's here to start her own collection. And Carl will be working for her. And she's like, yeah, we'll see which one of us stays here. Yeah, so then Kara decides to talk with her mom. And she's like, yeah. And she's like, what's a myriad? But the AI is like, I'm not allowed to talk about that construct. And she's like, what is it? And she's like, further discussion of myriad will result in this AI self-destruction. What's myriad? My question. And yeah, so then they release Maxwell Lord, and John's like, and Kara's like, hey, you killed her aunt. And he's like, I'm sorry you feel that way. And she's like, I can't. And she's like, I need some space. And he's like, take some time as you need. And she's like, not that kind of space. I can't trust you. I can't trust you right now. And maybe one day that'll change, but today it hasn't. And Carl leaves, ending the episode. So, this episode was okay. I enjoyed it. 2 questions. What is Myriad? And Siobhan is an absolute worst. Bad. She is the worst. I don't like her. Yeah, but anyway, that was it for this video, and I'll see you next time for some more Supergirl.